Remy loved to know how things work. It was his passion, his interest. He loved to fix things. He loved to try different things, plugging in wires, switching on lights, and making all sorts of different machines. Remy also loved to fly. He loved any opportunity to play on an aeroplane, pretend he was a pilot, and dream about flying around the world. In 2015, we all went on a great American adventure to visit family. It was also an amazing opportunity for Remy to see lots of different machines that he had never seen before. We got to see the Concorde, a cool, very cool machine. We also got to see jet planes, fighter planes, helicopters, and even rockets. At Kennedy Space Center, we all marvelled at the sheer size and scale of rockets. Remy was blown away by the size of the engines, but also the size of the rockets. He was also interested in all the different parts of the rocket and how they all combined together. Most interesting for him, he really wanted to know how something that was so large and so heavy could manage to fly all the way into space, and it fascinated him. Later in the day, we actually managed to see a rocket take off. It was blistering hot, mid-30s. The sun was so bright in the sky, it was very hard to see the launch pad. As we sat watching and waiting for the rocket to launch, we felt like we were in some kind of movie. It was amazing.
There you go. Falcon 9 rocket carrying 4,300 pounds of supplies to the space station. This is a delay on the audio. Just watch the rocket. There it goes. It's going.
T-minus 20.
Now you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it, and then the rumble, and then I'll submit it.
T-minus 15. T-minus 10.
You can go ahead and take the audio.
When we came back, Remy had an opportunity to do Akarango o Nainai. It was a one-day program where he could study anything he wanted. And of course, Remy picked rocket propulsion systems. It was finally an opportunity for him to find out how rockets that were so big and heavy could fly all the way into space. We did lots of research together, took Remy to the Space Place in Wellington, where he found more information. We searched the internet, read books, and Remy even emailed experts in the field, like Peter Beck, who suggested that maybe Remy might want to start where he did and buy his own model rocket. So Remy sold some of his toys to raise enough funds so that he could buy his own powered model rocket. He was so excited when his Quest Astra 3 arrived. He had to assemble it himself with a little help, and once he'd put all of the parts together, he was so proud that he had made the model rocket, and he couldn't wait to fly it. We set off for our first test flight at Taita College.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Here we go.
1.
Oh, that's great, isn't it? Just the blue bits that come out. Perfect.
See, the wind's changed. It's got an off.
That wasn't incredible.
After the test flights, Remy took the rocket to school to show his classmates, and it landed in the Hutt River. It was okay though. Also as part of the project, Remy wanted to build a Saturn V model rocket. This took a lot of work, a lot of cutting, painting and decorating, but it allowed him to show all the components of how it worked.
So the first stage has 5 F1 engines, and 2 minutes after launch explosive charges separate and it burns up in the atmosphere, I think. Then the interstage adapter that separates the second stage engines from the fuel tanks of the first stage flies off. And then about 9 minutes after that, the second stage stops and the third stage gets separated from the second stage by explosive charges too. And it flies off to the moon.
And finally, after 2 terms of hard work, Remy got to show off all of his learning. He was so excited to show people his rocket, explain about the engines, interstage adapters, and also just to actually show it to family, friends, teachers, his principal, even politicians. Remy had one last thing that he completed, a website that showed everything that he'd done. It's pretty cool. Finally, to round off the year, we had a rocket birthday with 10 flaming candles to celebrate his birthday. As Remy got older, his interest in flight developed in other ways, and he really loved drones, flying them at 9 Clubhouse with his friend Liam Joseph. They loved trying to keep the drone in flight even when the seagulls were surrounding it. Once Remy turned 13, he got to join the Air Cadets, something he'd been waiting to do. He was so proud when he got to wear his blue uniform for the first time. He also got to fly a plane a couple of months later, the first time at Hood Aerodrome. In 2020, in January, he got to go to Cadet 2020 and fly a plane for another time.
Moe mai rā e Remy. Sleep now, Remy. Oki oki I rongi te rangi Māori e. Rest in peace. Hoki atu ki o tipuna. Return to your ancestors.